In this video, we're going to go through everything that you need to know to maximize muscle gain and to limit fat gain during this bulking season. Last year, I went from 76 kilo to 90 kilo in the space of around 7 months before cutting back down again for a photo shoot this summer, maintaining my physique and now pushing my body weight up again. Today marks the first episode of the winter build where I take you through my lean gaining phase across this winter. And in this video, I'm going to go through all of the information that you need to know around training, diet, cardio, recovery, and even mindset. So let's get into it. First things first, I actually want to go through and set 5 key goals for you throughout your gaining phase this winter so that we can continue to stay on track, we're focused, and we don't come off the rails. And the first one, gain as much muscle as possible with as little body fat as possible, looking to gain 1 to 2 kilograms worth of scale weight each month. Too much, and you're probably going to be pushing things too far. Too little, and it might not be enough. Number 2, stay consistent in a routine. The bulk or a gaining phase, whatever you would prefer to call it, is not a time to slack off. We're here to progress. Number 3, we focus on eating a clean whole foods diet. An 80-20 split is absolutely perfect, but none of that dirty bulking around here. Number 4 is pretty straightforward, get strong. This is our time where we push our body weight up and we really look to push it in the gym. And number 5, trust the process. The reason that so many of you lads don't make the progress that you want to in your gaining phases, in your bulks, is because you don't see them through. You get a little bit fluffy or you gain a little bit of body fat and all of a sudden we're back into a cut again. So now that we've got our 5 main goals set, let's jump into the bulk of the video. See what I did there. So we're going to dive into the nutrition section of this video. But first things first, we're actually going to dive into a very important question. Can you bulk, right? We need to be lean enough to have a productive gaining phase. In my opinion, the body fat percentage that you need to be is between 10 to 12%, okay? And you're in a position where you're responding to the training that you're doing, you're responding to the food that you're eating, you're insulin sensitive, okay? And the most important part is that you've got longevity to your gaining phase and to your bulk, right? If you start your bulk fat, you're only gonna continue to get fatter, right? And you're just not gonna build as much muscle as you need to. So this video is not for you if you are not in a lean position to start with. If you are, I'd recommend that you get yourself into a cut. If you want to watch one of my other videos, okay, that will talk you through that, feel free to do so, of course. But essentially, we're gonna talk about the lean gaining phase here, okay? So a very important question to ask yourself if you haven't already. So, like I said, let's dive into nutrition, which for most people is normally the most difficult piece of the puzzle, the piece where it all kind of goes wrong, right? So the first thing that we're going to go over is your macros, okay? And I'm going to need you to track your food, okay? I'm going to need you to track your macros daily, okay? So that we can get averages across the week and so that we can essentially just track our metrics, okay? Now, what I'm going to take you through here is what would be theoretically an average male, okay? An average male, all right, 180 centimeters, 80 kilograms in weight, and moderate levels of activity, okay? They train a couple of times per week, they do a little bit of cardio, okay? And they get a decent amount of steps, okay? They don't train every single day, but moderate levels in terms of activity there, okay? Now, when it comes to macros, all right, and when it comes to calories, all I want you to do, okay, is to give yourself a little bit of a baseline, all right, is to use an online calorie calculator, input all of your data like this, and it's gonna spit you out a total, okay? That's gonna give you a baseline to work with. So, for example here, for this average male, his maintenance calories are 2,650 calories, okay? That's what he would need to eat theoretically to maintain his body weight. Now, we're gonna be looking at a 10% increase, okay, in terms of our calories here, okay, to put us into a small calorie surplus. So with a 10% increase, we are now in a position where, I'm gonna call him John, where John is eating 2,915 calories per day, okay? Now, we've got our calorie intake, okay? We need to look at macros, cool. So for me, okay, and for a lot of my clients, a minimum of 1 pound, okay, or 1 gram, should I say, per pound of body weight when it comes to protein. For some, okay, and to be honest with you, like myself, I quite like to push to 1.5 grams per pound of body weight when it comes to protein, okay? 1.2, 1 is absolutely fine. Fats, 20 to 25% of your total intake daily, okay? And then carbohydrates is what we actually need to do to make up the rest. Now, carbohydrates are incredibly, incredibly important when it comes to a lean bulking phase, when it comes to a gaining phase. They are typically going to be what drives our performance in the gym, what helps our body recover, okay? But a lot of the time it's for performance, okay? So when we kind of come back up here, right? the macros that John theoretically would be eating on 2,915 calories to start with, okay, this is the start of his gaining phase. Protein, 176, okay, 176 grams. That is 1 gram per pound of body weight. I did that for just to make things easy for myself. Fats at 20% of his total intake, 64 grams. And then carbohydrates at 408 grams. Now, something that I want you to think about, okay, when you are figuring out your macros, okay, is thinking about making sure that there's carbohydrates placed in and around your training window. It's called a peri-workout window, okay? Pre-workout, we want carbohydrates there, of course, to fuel our training performance, okay? And making sure that obviously we have a good session, all right? And then post-workout, we want to be thinking about essentially replenishing those glycogen stores that you've depleted in the gym. Obviously, yes, we want some protein either side of that too, okay? Moderate fats, okay, pre-workout. We don't really want fats necessarily post-workout, okay? But we can get into that in another video, all right? But that's fundamentally everything here, okay? So this here would be John's starting macros for the start of his gaining phase, okay? 2,915 calories, protein 176, fats 64, carbohydrates at 408 grams. Now, next up, I've got a list of things here, okay? Going over some things we want to be looking at from a nutrition standpoint, from a diet perspective, okay? The age-old question, Ryan, what food should I eat? It's a little bit tricky, okay? It's not as simple as that, right? What we need to be thinking about is a diet and foods that suit you. Okay, suit you, suit your lifestyle, foods that you actually want to eat and actually want to enjoy. I will do full days of eating. I will do a full food shop as well, to be honest with you, in terms of a video. So keep your eyes peeled for that, okay? Now, when it comes to our diet setup, like I said at the start of the video, we want a whole foods approach, okay? We do not want to be skewing our appetite. We do not want to be skewing our digestion, okay? Because that just leads to issues further down the line when you actually need to push your food a little bit further, okay? 80-20 split, whole foods and a little bit more flexibility, in my opinion, is the perfect split there. Cheat meals. Now, the first thing that I want you to do is reframe them to off-plan meals, okay? Reframe it to an off-plan, okay? And then quite simply off the back of, you get yourself straight back on plan, okay? So the key here is not to abuse these, okay? The key here is no dirty bulking, like we said, okay? And generally, I would say 1 to 2 off-plan meals per week, okay, is generally going to be your sweet spot, okay? It gives you a little bit more flexibility, okay, to go out for some nice food, to even order potentially a takeaway, something like that, right? And just have that little bit more enjoyment from food, okay? It can be a social thing. It can just be because you like, well, you want to eat some different foods, etc., etc. And it'll allow you to have that. Now, the key is getting yourself straight back to it the following day, okay, or the following meal, even, for example, all right? When we start to let an off-plan meal, or a lot of the time what ends up being cheat meals turn into cheat days, cheat weekends, what happens there is that we throw ourselves completely off-plan, okay? Routine, incredibly important throughout a lean gaining phase, okay? Not just from a food standpoint, but of course overall, but we're going to talk about it from a food standpoint here, or a meal standpoint. Keep your meal timings on lock, okay? The last thing that we want to be doing is getting to the end of the day and we've got 2,000 calories, right? We've only eaten 915 calories up until around 6 p.m. Shit, I need to eat 2,000 calories towards the back end of the day. All of a sudden, you're cramming all this food in, your digestion's skewed, your sleep skewed. No bueno, okay? Supplementation. Now, I'm not going to go too in depth here, okay? I take a fair few supplements, okay? But all we really need here, in my opinion, are the basics, okay? So your basic health supplements, okay? So a multivitamin, some Vit C, vitamin D3 and K2, omega-3s, creatine monohydrate, okay? I would 100% be recommending to everyone, okay? And then a whey protein if you want to use it. It's not some sort of magic trick, okay? It's not some sort of super supplement, all right? Protein shakes, they just can be used to supplement your diet and allow you to eat more protein, okay? Or in that case, drink more protein, all right? So that's what I'd be looking for there in terms of some basics when it comes to supplementation. I'm not gonna go too in depth into that at all. Now let's talk about plateaus and when to stop. So, John is 4 weeks in, okay? He's been eating 2,915 calories every single day. However, across the last week or so, his weight has stopped increasing, okay? So what we want to be looking for, all right, is an average scale weight increase of between 1 to 2 kilogram per month, okay? Generally, 0.25 to 0.5 kilogram per week is a pretty steady rate of gain, okay? 2 kilogram per month is the absolute maximum that I'd be looking at, right? Now, if across that week, his scale weight is stalled, okay, that's fine. Let's try it another week, all right? 2 weeks, scale weight stall, then we can look to push our food back up again, okay? So from this position, I'd recommend anywhere between a 100 to 200 calorie push up, okay, or bump in terms of food. Primarily, I'd be looking to push this in through carbohydrates, so of course impacts positively upon our training performance. All right, so then we would potentially look to push that to 458 gram of carbohydrate, okay? Of course, both of these will go up as a little bit of byproduct, but it's just adding an additional 200 calories there, okay? If again, we then track our scale weight every single day and it doesn't increase, again, push your food up a little bit further, okay? Or if it increases, cool, we can now leave it there, all right? But it's just about making those adjustments, okay? And you'll do this over time, right? In my opinion, a gaining phase should be around 6 months, okay? At a kind of minimum, okay? Because we need time, we need to spend time in a surplus to see the real benefits, okay? When to stop? Now, this could be for a number of reasons, okay? A lot of the time, what I'd be recommending is you stop when your appetite is diminished, okay? Your digestion may be slightly skewed, and obviously we get to a position where our insulin sensitivity has been reduced, okay? Now, for a lot of guys, this is gonna be, in my opinion, when you get to around 20 to 22% body fat, okay? Even potentially even 18% body fat, right? That's when I'd be looking to stop. Now, what can you do off the back of that? Well, we can either get ourselves into a mini cut, okay? So we can quite simply pull down for between 6 to 8 weeks, okay? Pull it down quite aggressively, reset everything from an appetite perspective, pull your food right down, get you hungry again, get your digestion back in a good spot, get your insulin sensitivity back, okay? And then we can look to push food back up again and see and continue to push the gaining phase, right? However, if you want to quite simply get into a cut, then you can look to do so, okay? Diet down and obviously see the muscle that you've built within essentially that gaining phase, okay? So that is everything from the lean bulk, okay? The lean gaining phase when it comes to nutrition. Right, quick rub down on the whiteboard and we are in for training expenditure, okay? Now, I'm not actually gonna go into too much depth in this video when it comes to training because I'm gonna talk about this a lot more in other videos that I cover across the rest of this series when it comes to sessions and how we need to train and everything like that, okay? But what I'm gonna do is give it a little bit of an overview, okay? The key message that I want to drum into you is let your training do the talking. The food is gonna be present, okay? I want you to get into the gym and I want you to focus on getting strong as fuck, okay? This is the time for us to just get nasty in the gym, right? For us to just get after it, chase progress, okay? Get some nasty pumps. We're gonna feel full in the gym, okay? We're gonna feel strong, we're gonna feel good, okay? When we diet sometimes, we can get to a point where training can get a little bit, you know? So this is a point here to just fully take advantage of that and just get after it in the gym, okay? Now, we actually need to know we actually need to stimulate our muscles, of course, to grow. Otherwise, we're just going to gain weight, okay? We're just going to gain body weight, just get fat and not actually build any muscle, okay? So that's why I always emphasize to let your training do the talking, okay? So, key things. Training splits, okay? Now, I like to train. Currently, at the moment, I'm training 4 times per week, okay? In previous gaining phases, to be honest with you, ever since I started training properly around 3.5 years ago now, I've always trained 5 times a week, okay? But I'm currently on a 4-day split, just to balance between some other work that I'm doing when it comes to running, etc., etc. And the current split that I'm running is a push-pull legs upper, okay? Now, if you wanted to run another alternative, potentially when it comes to 4-day splits, okay, you could run an upper lower. If your legs look like little twiglets, then I'd probably go for the upper lower. All right. And then of course, if you are training 5 days across the week, I'd go for some sort of push-pull legs variation. Push-pull legs, push and arms, and maybe a back and hamstrings day. Okay, is to be honest with you, a split that I use with quite a lot of my clients. All right. So that's what I'd be looking for there. It's important that we have rest days. Okay. Our time away from the gym is super, super important to actually allow our body to recover and actually allow our body to grow. Okay. If you're training 6 days a week, if you're training 6 to 7 days per week, it's fucking bollocks. You're not either training hard enough in your sessions, or you're just a freak. How about that? All right. In the gym, we need to be looking to, okay, apply progressive overload week by week. It's important that we track our lifts, okay? It's important that we track that data so that we know whether or not we're progressing. Now, different forms of progression. Increased amount of reps with the amount of weight that we use, increased amount of weight that, of course, we are using. Slowing your tempo down, okay? So an improvement to your form, an improvement to your tempo, okay? It's just trying to accumulate more volume, all right? So that's what we're looking to do each week, all right? And I'm not gonna go over how you would do that, okay, in too much depth, but essentially if on your first week you set your baseline numbers in a training split, you hit 60 kilogram on an incline machine press, the following week for 7 reps, the following week you come in, you try and do 8, okay? We wanna be training to failure, okay? I didn't actually put that on here. That is key, all right? Train to failure, right? At the bottom here in capital letters, train to failure, okay? Now, we can train reps in reserve, and to be honest with you, you can actually be 2 or 3 reps away from complete failure to actually continue to stimulate muscle growth, but for so many of you, you don't know what that actually is right now. So go all out on your sets to the point where you cannot do any more, okay? You are gonna grow, you are gonna build muscle, okay? Form, we wanna be looking at obviously our exercise execution and making sure that it's spot on, okay? So taking your muscles through their full range of motion, okay? Nice controlled tempos, everything like that, okay? Just make sure your form is good, please, okay? And then sleep and recovery. I've already kind of mentioned recovery a little bit, and of course I've already mentioned rest days a little bit. So sleep, 7 to 9 hours per night, okay? Get yourself into a good bed and wake time, okay? Allow your body to get into a good routine, okay? As you would throughout any phase, okay? But it's super, super important throughout this phase, okay? To make sure that you allow your body to recover, okay? You actually break your muscles down in the gym. You're allowing them to grow when you sleep, when you recover, okay? So again, 7 to 9 hours per night. Expenditure. Something that as soon as people get into a bulking mindset for, okay, goes out the fucking window. No, okay? We need to stay active, right? We need to stay healthy, okay? Now, with that, a minimum of 8 to 10,000 steps per day. Get out, get some steps in, okay? Whether it is after your meals, whether it's just in the morning, whether it's in the evening, it's gonna help with your appetite regulation. It's gonna help keep you hungry, especially if you have them either before a meal or even after a meal, okay? It can also aid your digestion if you have a little 10-minute walk after your meal. But a minimum of 8 to 10,000 steps per day, please. And then cardio, minimum of 2 times per week, minimum. We want to stay healthy. We do not want to neglect our cardiovascular health just because we are bulking, okay? It's one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make, okay? Minimum of two times cardio sessions per week at 30 minutes, okay? So there's minimum of 60 minutes weekly, and that will keep you ticking over and keep the heart healthy. So as always, I rambled on a little bit there, pretty fucking standard for me. But the key thing here is to let your training do the talking. Get in, train hard, progress, okay? Get strong as fuck, and enjoy it. And we are now back in the office for one of the most important parts of the video, which is trusting the process and trusting in the bulk. Seeing yourself put on some body fat and losing some of the definition is not fun. And it's something that I've always struggled with in all of my bulks. However, when I've come out the other side of them, I'm always very happy that I've seen them through. We trust in the process, and we trust that the next time that we diet down, we will have an improved look and that we will reap the rewards off the back of it. You have to stick to the bulk for long enough to see the benefits from it. Bulking for 12 weeks and coming back down again and constantly going through that cycle is gonna do nothing for your physique, and you're just gonna spin your wheels. But on the flip side, bulking should be fun. We've got way more flexibility socially and with the foods that we're eating, and we're focusing on getting strong as fuck in the gym. But the biggest thing that we have to do here is shift the mindset from a cutting mindset to a bulking mindset, and accepting the fact that we might not necessarily look our best for some of the time period throughout the bulk. We embrace it, we carry on, we trust in the process, and we think long term, not short term, otherwise you're just gonna continue to spin your wheel. Take it slow, take it steady, and do not get fat too quick. One of the biggest reasons that people struggle with as well is they do not trust themselves to cut back down off the back of it. So make sure that you do not push, as I've said many a times throughout this, do not push your bulk too far to the point where you get too fat and your body weight is far too high, so that we then have to have an absolute slog of a diet as we pull ourselves back down again. Let's finish off with some final thoughts and close out this video. So, bulking is simple, but it's not easy. But nothing matters here if you are not going to stay consistent. You cannot be on it for 1 week and then off it for the next. You have to be ruthlessly consistent, you have to be patient, and you have to put in effort just like you do with any other phase and anything else in life. Now, if you found this useful, please drop the video a like. It would be hugely appreciated. Drop a comment on anything else you would like to see, or if you have any questions off the back of the video. And of course, please subscribe to the channel for more content like this and for you to continue to follow the journey through my own gaining phase. Happy bulking season, fellas. Let's get it.